Welcome to Tuesday, November 28th, 2023. Your Day Weather Podcast brought to you by Hot Springs County Travel and Tourism, reminding you that as temperatures drop and snow is on the horizon at Thermopolis, you can always find yourself in hot water. Well, we have two systems coming later this week and into the weekend across the western United States. They're going to take different paths and bring different results to the western U.S., and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But it will be a little warmer today and tomorrow, so a little more ice and snow will get melted off sidewalks and driveways. We will then see cooler temperatures Thursday and Friday as West Coast low pressure begins to move into the western United States. As we mentioned yesterday, things are going to be a little bit disorganized, with one area of low pressure going across the desert Southwest and the southern Rockies. Then another system, which is really a combination of very strong jet stream winds and some areas of moisture coming off the Pacific coast, comes into the northern and central Rockies this weekend. And what that will do is produce snow in the mountains of the central and northern Rockies this weekend, while it's going to likely be windy on the plains, unfortunately. And we'll take a look at that. Also, a little bit of a peek into the long term. We got the new European 45-day model update today, and we'll kind of take a peek at that as it will take a peek into the new year. Still getting photos coming in of the big snowstorm in Fremont County, Wyoming, around the Lander Riverton area. This is Sinks Canyon, west of Lander, right up against the foothills of the Wind River Mountains, where nearly 30 inches of snow fell. And not only are people weather watchers, but I guess pets as well. Love that shot there of Charlie the cat. As we take a look at the satellite imagery this morning, you can see the west is clear. So we're going to, again, have another very quiet day, lots of sunshine. There is a lot of activity out here in the Pacific. We'll talk about that here in a moment. But in the short term, high pressure will dominate. There it is right there. This little low right here off the coast of Northern California is going to take a track and swing down here over the coming days. And there it is. This is by noon Thursday. So this is today. In 2 days, we've got a low over New Mexico. Then look at these strong gradients developing right here. See how those black lines are really close together? That is a strong difference in temperature from the very cold air here to the warmer air here. And this is where we're going to have very strong jet stream winds developing. But the low that's here in the southern areas, while it won't certainly be a big storm, it is going to be producing some moisture. This is the precipitation forecast through Friday evening. So Arizona, parts of New Mexico, southwest and southern Colorado, southern Utah, and then back here in the Pacific Northwest, you're going to get a little bit of rain and snow in the high country here. Again, it's not a big weather system, but it is going to be enough to instigate some rain and snow in the areas right here that need it. Also, moisture getting drawn out ahead of that low will produce rain across East Texas and Oklahoma. And those areas getting some more needed rain there as well. But through Friday, along and east of the divide here, you can see a big gap of nothing going on here between now and Friday. So this is system number one, and there's what the snow looks like. So the mountains in northwest and northern New Mexico, southwest Colorado, this area right here, if traveling through that area, you're going to encounter some weather. Scattered areas of mountain snows across the west of the region. Then as we take a look at what happens this weekend, as we get into late Saturday night and Sunday, we start to see developing these very strong jet stream winds off the Pacific coast, coming through the Rockies and coming in from the northwest to the southeast. During the winter season, when you get strong moist jet stream winds that come from the northwest to the southeast across the Rockies, a couple of things happens. First thing that happens is you end up with these strong winds coming in at a obtuse angle to the Continental Divide. So that ends up producing a lot of wind on the plains. And here you can see what we call the 300 millibar winds, or this is about roughly 30,000 feet aloft. You see these very strong jet stream winds coming from the north-northwest, trending to the southeast. If there's moisture in this flow and it's cold enough, it's a way to really make it snow in the big mountain ranges. The big mountain ranges, like a catcher's mitt, catch that Pacific moisture, and those northwest to southeast winds are coming in right at the right angle for lift. those winds, the atmosphere has to lift over the mountains. That helps generate precipitation. But east of the mountains, you get a strong downslope component. So what ends up happening, it snows in the mountains, but areas east of the divide, you get a Chinook effect, and it also gets very, very windy. And this is exactly what happens. This is a great way to build snowpack. This is the 4-day precipitation from Saturday through Tuesday. So we're talking this coming Saturday through a week from today. And you see this signal all the time. You'll see the mountains of southern Wyoming and northern and central Colorado, the northwest mountains of Wyoming and eastern Idaho, the Bighorn Mountains as well. And look at all of the heavy precipitation in the Pacific Northwest, the mountains of Idaho, northwest Montana. That's because Pacific moisture is getting driven in by those very strong jet stream winds coming in from the northwest. Yes, we'll get a little bit of spillover right here of some snow shower activity east of the divide. We'll have some of that, but we're also going to have a lot of this snow in the mountains. This is the cumulative snow over the next 7 days. So first you'll have this storm system producing the snow down here, but all of this, most of this snow right here is going to be coming late this week and this weekend in that strong northwest flow. So if you're a skier, snowmobiler, watching that snowpack, that's going to really give us some good early season snow in the mountains. Not a lot on the plains, but some. But on the plains, wow, it's going to get windy. This is basically for this upcoming weekend. You can see right along the divide here, where you're along and east of the divide, you're going to get these strong winds. As those strong northwest to southeast jet stream winds go along that divide area. This is a classic winter pattern that will happen throughout the course of any winter, whether it's La Nina or El Nino. It's going to happen as the jet stream this time of year just gets stronger and stronger as we get deeper into the end of fall and into the beginning of winter season. Now that will likely transition to a high pressure pattern early next week, giving us a break. So early next week, this is most likely late Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, after a windy period, snow in the mountains, then a warm up. Then what happens out here is likely going to be another area of low pressure forming and arriving probably the weekend after this one. And that's something that we're going to keep an eye on. And so we're seeing a hint of that in the models. This is for Friday, December 8th into the weekend of the 9th and 10th. This system will probably end up being a little bit more like this. And we'll keep an eye on it with this high pressure ridge developing in the eastern Pacific. I wanted to give you a little bit of a hint in the long term. Twice a week, we get a 45-day model, goes out to 45 days from the European Center. And what you use this for is just trends. You can't get specific with it. But we're seeing a signal in the European model repeatedly over the last 2 or 3 weeks, which is the period from where we are now all the way through the first week or so. This goes all the way through the 12th of January. We're seeing a signal of it being colder than average in the east, much colder than average in the western areas of North America, and a little bit warmer than average across southern Canada and the northern plains. Now, we would expect this kind of pattern in an El Nino. Basically, this area does tend to be a bit warmer than average, does tend to be cooler than average here and here as well. So this is something that the sea surface temperatures and the El Nino pattern support this. So basically, the model is supporting what we're seeing physically at this particular moment in time. So you can see how cold the western areas of the U.S. are if you average the 45 days together. And I wanted to take a look at Christmas week. This is the week between Christmas and New Year's Day. Now, this is probably overdoing it, but what we're seeing is a potential for the holiday period to be cold in the western United States, and that would likely be associated with at least some snow chances as well. Take that with a grain of salt. Maybe I shouldn't have shown you this, but it's just something that we're watching for you, kind of really sticking our neck out with the model, but interesting to watch nonetheless, and we'll keep track of this as we get closer to Christmas and New Year's. Have yourself a very good Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow.